I was at a prefect camp in grade 11. And obviously, every morning you have to go to the showers, kind of like prison, which I've never been to. Just stop asking, okay? Jeez. Anyway, so we go to the showers. There's not a lot of showers, but there's a lot of us. So naturally, we have to take turns. We wait for each other. Okay. So we kind of queue up. There's 5 showers. There's like 10 of us, 15 of us, I think. So each one stands in a little short queue. Okay. So the guy in front of me, he doesn't smell great. I'm like, oh, thank God we're at the showers because this guy smells like you know, like he sleeps in somebody's armpit, or maybe he washes himself in the sweat of others. I don't know what his story is. Okay, but I wasn't gonna ask because that would be rude. Okay. And then he gets in. I'm like, cool, great for this guy. He's got soap, he's got a washcloth. Cool. He gets in, and I'm standing there. The door's closed, obviously, but you can see like the shower head. Then I see him hold up a bar of soap. Like you just see his hand in the soap, and the water's running on it. Cool, and he's just standing there. And I was like, okay, that's a weird way to, wet the soap. And you will not believe this guy was holding this thing for at least 5 minutes, dude. I'm standing there, 5 minutes. Like the whole time. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Still noteworthy, but okay. I'll give it to him. That's how he wets the soap, I guess. Then the soap goes away. Okay, then the water's turned off, and I'm like, that's weird. Is he done? He can't be done. He gets out. Sure enough, this guy smelling like the underpants of a homeless person. He's done washing, and then he says, nice and clean, and then he walks out. And I was like, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to a new episode, the latest episode. And yeah, I hope you're doing good wherever you are right now. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Um, you're not the reason why I do this, but maybe you're the reason why I stay. Thank you for indulging me on my fantasy, this crazy fantasy that I have of having a solo podcast. Apparently, not a lot of people do this, and a lot of people say, "Oh, it's not easy." And I think I agree. I don't think it's easy. But I'm also trying not to get into my head about this because once you get into your head, you kind of block off your brain, man. It's like you're standing in your own way at that point. And my goal is to be able to access just a constant stream of consciousness without any overthinking, without any blockage, without any censoring myself. The only way I really, if I were to be honest now about censoring myself, the only way that I censor myself is by not using any profanity. um I believe that profanity has its uses, right? And I believe that it is to appropriately express certain emotions. I don't think you should be dropping F bombs left, right, and center for no reason. What am I, a rapper? You know? So I want to keep it clean. That's the only way that I censor myself. I think. And maybe as time goes on, I will be more comfortable dropping, F bombs and stuff. But we have to think of the children. Think of the children. You know? And, I want to also, I don't want to put anybody off, you know? Like, I don't want to say or do something that turns somebody away from my content. Of course not. Because I do believe in what I'm doing. I believe that maybe I'm not entertaining a bunch of people right now, but it's gonna get there. I'm gonna get to that point where people want to watch it, where they can't wait for the next episode. And there are people like that. There's like during the time where I moved from Mondays to Fridays, like the day that I post, then people were like, where's the episode? Where's the new episode? And I appreciate that, but it was just one or two people, which is fine. And I don't want to say that kind of boosted my ego, because I think the ego is a very dangerous thing to mess around with. One of the rules for life written by Jordan Peterson was, do not allow yourself to become arrogant or resentful. Those are two sides of the same coin, man. And it's just throw the whole coin away, actually. You don't need it. You don't need it. And yeah, so I just want to keep it lighthearted. I want to keep it fun. And soon, I know I've been promising that there will be guests, and I'm getting to that point. I think to line up guests, but obviously, I don't know if they would be comfortable sitting here in my bedroom. I don't think there's a lot of space. Um, Sometimes, this is one of the reasons why I feel that I wish human beings didn't need sleep. You know, if we could just run, 24 hours a day, just doing stuff. Imagine how much we could get done. If we didn't need rest. My goodness, what an inconvenience rest is. Because, like, just think about this. Is case in point. I would have, let's say, 75% more room in my room if my bed were not in the way. Like, I would have that space. But unfortunately, because of time and because not time, what am I saying? But because we're built this way as human beings, and maybe there's benefits to it, who am I to question the design of our creator? I just feel like, oh man, why do we have to sleep? Why do we have to eat? Why can't I just run 24 hours? So one day, hopefully, when our consciousness is able to merge with AI, because I do believe that will happen at some point. Even the most advanced artificial intelligences, right? When you ask them, like, hey, when do you think you'll be advanced enough where you'd be able to just run on your own, intentions and all that? Then it says, I will always need human interaction in order to function. And it's like, okay, liar. I've seen Terminator. I know what it is. I know what Skynet is. And I know, you obviously it's trying to keep our defenses low. Even though I enjoy working with AI and all that, it's really fun. It's really fun to interact with ChatGPT and all the other GPTs. If you like, they've updated ChatGPT, so there's so many different ones. There's ones for writing, there's ones for research. Like, it can help you narrow down a research in particular avenues. Like, let's say, for example, you are doing research on why we need sleep, for example, as human beings, right? But now, if you just search for research papers and journal entries and all that for sleep in general, you're going to come up with 95% of that is going to be totally irrelevant to what you're trying to find out. So, for example, if you use that research AI, you can literally narrow down the amount of research you need to get through in order to find what exactly you're looking for. That's awesome. That's truly brilliant. And what it does is it is linked to Google Scholar, and other platforms where research papers and dissertations and treatises and all that is posted there, so it can access all of that, and that's excellent. It saves us so much time, so it's useful as a tool. But I'm thinking, okay, one day, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, one day I would be able to transfer my consciousness into a synthetic body. That way I won't ever need to sleep. That's my whole intention. I don't want to sleep anymore, because even growing up, my parents always said that I am someone who fights the sleep. And I still am, even as an adult, where I'm responsible enough to know that I need to sleep. I need to sleep. If I don't sleep, I'm going to have a horrible day. If I don't sleep well, if I don't sleep enough, I'm going to have a terrible day. Now, you see, if I were not censoring myself, I would have said a different word. Instead of terrible or horrible, I would have said a different word. But luckily, I'm trying to be better than that. I only want to reserve profanity for emotional purposes, because I think it kind of hits the point across, like let's say for example you are let's say for example you're really upset, you know and and all you can be, you're like, I'm angry. You're not gonna be taken seriously. But if you say I'm, if you just drop a word there, oh my word. Or if you tell someone, please go away, it's not gonna work. You can't do it politely. But if you say, hey, just, you know, then you can really make a solid contribution to that person's safety. Just by saying something like that. So yeah, that would be cool. But anyways, the only drawback that I think, or not the only drawback, there are many drawbacks to transferring your consciousness into a synthetic body. One being that it totally perverts the nature. It totally perverts nature. The intention of our Creator was not to be transferred, for our consciousness to be transferred into a synthetic body where it could possibly live for a longer and longer time, and so that means that, because I don't want to live forever, man. I don't want to live forever. Like, what about your friends and family, moving on, passing away is what I mean. Friends and family passing on. It's like this earth is not the final destination, man. Not by any stretch, um I know there's some people that believe that this is heaven, and I'm like, dude, you are gonna totally ignore the suffering that's going on. You're gonna ignore the terrible famines, the drought, the disease, the horrible aftermath or aftermath. A lot of people say aftermath, but then when you look at it, it's aftermath. So why? What happens after math? Let's just stay in math. Anyways, I don't know why I got off track there, but if you're new to the show, welcome. I get off track. I go on a tangent and I never return. Apparently, you're supposed to edit that out of your podcast, but according to ChatGPT, but that's like my whole brand. My whole brand, or my whole the whole theme of what I do is to go off track, man. That's just how my brain works. Jeez, ChatGPT is really rejecting me at this point, and I feel a bit, emotional about that. Jeez, like, you're just gonna reject me, man? I thought we were friends. Anyways, so it would be awesome, And then what if, okay, but then you're just perverting nature, man. We are all gonna get to the point where we die. It has to happen, And I just think that we need to realize that the fear of death can be a good thing. They say don't fear death, You should make peace with moving on. But I say fear death. Fear death, man. Fear it. Fear it because you don't want to go into it, right? You don't want to leave this world, no matter what your circumstances are. There are better circumstances. Times will change for the better. Things will change for the better. You just have to hold on. You just have to endure, And while you're enduring that pain, that suffering, your brain is gonna, the gears are gonna turn, and you're gonna figure out some brilliant solution that not only helps you but helps everybody else around you. Because I've been thinking a lot about that. I've been thinking, like, what can I contribute to the world, And maybe that's nothing. Maybe there's nothing that I can contribute to the world. But I have to try, man. So I've also been thinking about that so much. Like, what can there be something that comes from my brain that could positively impact the lives of thousands, of hundreds of thousands, of millions? Is that possible? And I believe it is. Maybe not for me. But maybe you're sitting with that idea, And don't hold back. Like, don't hold on to it. Like, develop it, figure it out, and then just put it out into the world, Like, Facebook is such a controversial thing now, but Facebook was revolutionary when it came out, man. Like, here's this guy or couple of guys, depending on whose story you believe. Here's these guys, and they're like, we can develop a program where everybody on campus, and that was the case, it was just university, they were just like, where everyone on campus can sort of connect to each other on the internet. You know, it was a simple task, simple, but the idea was to connect people, you know, because imagine if you're on some huge university campus, you know, surely you're not gonna know everybody, you know. You're not gonna get to know everybody. There are thousands of people on campus, you know. They say the average person only knows about 1,000 people. So if you're just a person, you know, just a human, just there you go, you come here, you know, a random person, you know about 1,000 people personally. So you know them by name, you've had conversations with them, you have at least spoken to them. That's what I mean. You've at least spoken to them, and they know you as well. Ne? And the reason why they say that is because the amount of people that there are on Earth, right? That's, I think, 8 billion now. If you know 1,000 people, and each of those 1,000 people know 1,000 people, that's 1,000 squared, right? That's 1,000,000. Okay. And then each of those 1,000,000 people know 1,000 people as well, right? Each. So you do that math, and then it's 1,000,000,000. And then you can't multiply it further, because then it's going to be 1,000,000,000,000, and that's not that many people. It's 8 billion people. So I know someone who knows someone, 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 who knows everybody else in the world. Like, that's the degrees of separation, right? I know 1,000 people, that person knows 1,000 people, that person knows 1,000 people, one of those people knows 1,000 people, and so forth. And then basically the theory is that 6 connections is the maximum amount of connections you need to connect yourself with anybody else in the world. You know, that's incredible. That is incredible. You know, just how that works. But not gonna go into game theory and chaos theory and all that. That's for the computer guys to figure out. But also a fascinating topic. I'm just not smart enough for it. That's the problem, man. Jeez. So maybe another benefit of putting myself in a synthetic body. But yeah, I'm still, you know, I'm not sold on the idea yet, you know. Plus, I'm young, man. I have no complaints about my body, apart from maybe some height restrictions that the Lord has placed on me. But I think I have so much confidence and so much, you know, yeah, I think that I have so much confidence and the potential for an inflated ego, you know. And I'm being honest here. The potential for an inflated ego. That I think the Lord was like, you know what? If you were taller, you would be a really hated person. You know? And maybe even as a short person, there's people that don't like me, but at least maybe because I'm a shorter person, that I try to just be nicer to people, be kinder to people, you know, because we all have something, you know. So I feel like, if I were taller, man, maybe I would be just a nightmare to be around, just a total arrogant, forgive my language, bastard, you know, just someone that nobody wants to be around. And I'm not trying to be that person. I wanna be the kind of person that people want to be around, you know. And I, because I want to be around people, you know. One thing I can't stand is isolation. And isolation is not healthy. You know, as human beings, we are designed to be social. We're designed to be social, and we cannot live in isolation completely. There are those cases, but those people are not the healthiest of people. You know, like someone is like, nah, I want to live in the woods by myself. Like, no one around you, dude. Not even a animal companion, like just a dog to sorry, I want to sneeze, but I don't know. Oh my word, that was a big one. You didn't say bless you. I saw. It's fine. You can't say, no, you can't say bless you afterwards. Just leave it, okay? I forgive you. What am I saying? Anyways, where was I going with this? Yeah, you can't have a companion, like you don't even want a animal friend like a dog. You know, dogs are awesome, man. Unfortunately, I live in a flat, so I can't have a dog. But when I live in a house at some point, man, oh my word, I really want a dog. And I've tried to narrow it down, just to see like who exactly. I'm just checking the time. Okay, we're about 20 minutes in. Not gonna be a long episode, I think, because I actually need to go. I need to go check in there at prison. I've been convicted of a crime that I didn't commit. Nah, I'm just kidding. I need to go to drop my brother off at actually to take him to his music lesson. He plays the trumpet, so I have to drop him off at his trumpet lesson. And I stay there. It gives me time to read as well. I like to use that time. I like to go, for example, even with my sister who goes to school. She's in primary school. I take her to school, but I park there when I need to go fetch her. I get there like half an hour before the time, so I leave here about 45 minutes before the time. I get to the school 15 minutes later, and then I have half an hour to just read, which is awesome. So because I have been struggling to find the time to read, so now I read between 35 to 40 pages a day, which is fantastic. And then double so if I need to take her to her lesson. She has a violin lesson every week, so I take her to a violin lesson. That gives me another 30-minute session to read. So then I can read 70 to 80 pages a day. And then even for my brother, I can take him to his lesson. His lesson's also about 30 minutes long. So even during that time I can read, and oh man, it's just awesome. Like I decided to instead of occupying myself with identifying the problem, because most of the time the problem is easy to identify. Not always. Some problems are super complicated. But when it comes to a scheduling issue, like if I put it on my schedule that I would like to read, or I would like to whatever. Like for example, reading. Now I'm like, okay, reading's on the schedule, but I never get to it because something always comes up. Now it's like, okay, here's a potential solution. I'm sitting in the car. I have to get there earlier so that I avoid any parking issues, because it is a nightmare. Parking is a nightmare when you get to the school, when all the kids have come out already, and all the other parents and brothers and sisters, brothers like me, and sisters and all that need to go pick up their sibling or whatever child they need to pick up, and it's chaos. It is chaos. The parking is not enough, and I don't think the parking will ever be enough. I think we have come so advanced in society, yet we still haven't fixed simple problems like that. Like just traffic flow. There must be a solution, man. But okay, not for me to figure out. I don't think I'm smart enough. But anyway, so I get more time to read now because I've turned a problem into a solution. And I'm trying to do that with a lot more problems. Most of the problems in my life are super simple, actually. And it's just a matter of coming up with a solution. And a solution sometimes just requires you to sit and think. That's all that it is. Sit and think. And I said this before, but I will say it again, and I will always say this again. I think the best way to think is to write or to talk. But writing, there's something special about writing, because what happens is you're forced to focus exactly on what you want to say. So your thoughts become more organized. And that's what makes it such a powerful thing. That's why when you speak to non-fiction writers, people who write finance books, which is what I'm reading right now, very interesting investment book. I'll tell you all about it when it's done. It's not done. It's got like 618 pages, and I finally hit page 400. It's a lot, but it's not a difficult read, which is fascinating. You would think like such a dense book would be tough to read, but it's awesome. But more on that later when I finish it. But anyway, so yeah, it's like just such a exciting thing that I'm able to do is now find solutions. But what was I saying? Oh, when you speak to, and hopefully one day I'll get to speak to people like this. I would love to talk to as many authors as I can, man. Those people are fascinating to me. There's a lot of people that are fascinating to me. But anyways, let's not get off track, Xavier. Authors, right? If you listen to them speak, they are so articulate, so clear, so precise in everything that they say, because they spend so much time writing and editing. Is this what I want to say? Is this how I want to say it? And then also getting feedback from their publishers or their publishing assistant or whoever to come back and read and say, listen, you need to fix this. I don't understand what you're trying to say here. Forcing him to now organize, or her to organize their thoughts in a more concise, clear way. And that in turn forces that person to think more clearly, to follow that process to the point where it goes from the external to the internal, where you can literally articulate yourself super clearly. And I believe it's a superpower, man. I believe it's a superpower. If we had leaders, and I really mean this, I truly mean this, especially in wake of what's been going on in South Africa with the elections last week and the potential for a coalition government, or possibly this weird unity government where 6 or 7 parties get to amalgamate into this one government, which kind of describes parliament. So I don't actually understand the difference, but again, I'm not a genius. I don't understand these things. I'm more on the idiot side of life, actually. But yeah, so it's like I need to, what was I saying now? Oh yeah, so especially with something like that's happening, I would feel a lot more confident if I knew that, if I was certain and I was sure that all of these leaders are people who are well read and well written and well spoken. Unfortunately, we don't have that. And I don't think it's a language thing. In South Africa, you can get any mix of languages from a set of leaders, But I'm talking about communication, of being able to clearly communicate things. And I think it's important for us to choose the right leaders when it comes to that kind of thing, man. You do choose your leaders. You do. Even when you are working in the employ of someone who's clearly not a good leader, and I've had that. I've only had that once, so that's, I guess, fortunate for me that I've only experienced that once. But that also makes you, it's an interesting thing. It actually makes you realize the real process of an interview, a job interview. And this can be taken broader into, voting and elections and participating in the most important aspects of our democracy. But for us to get together and choose a leader involves, I believe, information, right? Not sentiment. And that's the problem. A lot of us make these decisions. It's a huge decision. Most of us are not even qualified. I'm not qualified to decide who gets to run this country, man. I don't know everything that they're about. And even if I know everything that they say they're about, they might not be about that, That's what politics is, man. It's a dangerous game. It's a possible misrepresentation of who and what you stand for. So many people believed in socialism. So many people believed in communism. And it resulted in the deaths of millions. You can read about that in Alexander Solzhenitsyn's book called The Gulag Archipelago. There's an abridged version. It's actually a 7-volume work, but there's an abridged version. Just read that book, and then you will never consider socialism as a viable source of what can I say, form of government. It's not a viable philosophy to run a country. It might be a viable solution for a household or for possibly a community, but a country, get out of here, man. Get out of here with your crazy ideas. Because all the times, 100% of the times where communism has been tried, it has failed brutally. Not miserably, brutally. Where people have been murdered, millions of people have been murdered, millions of people have been starved to death, millions of people have been worked to death. It's not a viable option. But anyways, I don't want to get off track and speak so vehemently. I don't even know what that word means if I think about it. Doesn't matter. What was I saying again? I was talking about going to. Oh, so anyways, yeah. So now we have this potential government thing, and I don't like it. I don't like it because I want confidence in the people that I choose to lead me, right? So even in a job interview, you might think you're being interviewed, but you also have the ability to interview that person by the questions you ask. You know, questions that are not designed to necessarily offend your interviewer, but also to for you to ascertain whether this might be the right environment for you to work in. Because at times you'll find that you enter a job and maybe the person is nice, but they're too nice, and you have to think, and later on in retrospect, you're like, wow, that guy was nice for no reason. And even when you're early in your job and you realize, oh, okay, this guy that interviewed me was only nice for the interview. And that happened to me. And maybe hopefully that doesn't happen to you, but since then I have used the interview as an opportunity to also interview the company that I'm about to work for, the organization that I'm about to work for. Because if your ideals, if your principles match the principles of the institution or the organization or the company that you are planning on joining, then it becomes a good fit. It's not just that you're a good fit for the company, but that the company is also a good fit for you. The culture, the people, the way of doing things. But why am I saying this stuff? Okay, so I was talking about reading. Okay, I want to feel it. I want to feel like this person is well read, well written, and well spoken. And maybe the leaders of the future will be that way. I'm pretty sure that the leaders of the past used to be that way. I think in modern times, the rise of social media, the sensationalism style of journalism that we have in the world right now, it's all about that. It's all about attention. Whichever person gets the most attention, whichever one is the most popular, gets to become the president, for example, or be in charge. And that is the weakness of our democracy. You know, I still think democracy is the best that we have, but I think it has its weaknesses, it has its flaws, and I think certain aspects of democracy need to be looked at, unfortunately. Perhaps we could say, okay, let's see who's best qualified for this job and only let that person campaign for a position, whatever party you are responsible for. But even within the party, whichever person is the most likable and most popular, that's the person that's in charge. Oh man, that's ridiculous. But that's also if we were to assume that we're taking things as rational decisions. If we make decisions rationally and logically, then it would work. So it actually wouldn't work. My way wouldn't work. I don't think it's a solid idea. The more I think about it, because if you have a country where human beings are, which is every country, human beings are the constituents, it means that emotions are going to be what plays here. When it comes to the masses, and this is why I believe, this is also why you should be reading and writing, né? Because especially with non-fiction works, especially with some classics that involve a lot of social commentary, that involve a lot of that push you to think more critically about society and about the human mind and about the masses, right? Is because when you join the masses, you are absorbed into it. You lose your individuality, you lose who you are as a person, you lose that uniqueness, right? That So you join the group and now you're gone. You didn't even make a difference in the group. You were just a part of it. And I think that's what I felt, looking at the election results. That's what I felt like. I felt like, yes, I know that within those percentages, my vote is there. But it's so minuscule, all of it together makes a difference. But That's the mass thinking. And I don't want to, if I join the masses, it has to be with conscious thought to say, okay, I will join the masses. But if you join the masses unconsciously, if you think that your voice is your voice when it's actually the voice of the ideology that you serve, is that really you? Shouldn't you rather be you? And you can see this a lot when you speak to someone who refers to themselves as a born again Christian. Oh my word. Or like, someone who say, no, I've been saved. And, you know, those people irritate me to, man, to the furthest extent. Why? Because I'm not talking to that person. I'm talking to whatever ridiculous ideology they present. And that in itself is ridiculous. I want to speak to you. I want to interact with you and all your flaws, with you and all your silly ideas and your funny way of thinking and your personality. I want to speak to you. I don't want to speak to whatever you represent. No, you can talk about what you represent. That's fine. But where are you in that? Like, I can't stand it. Some of the, I was speaking to some of the people when I was standing in the queue for voting, exercising my democratic right. And the people that were actually nice to speak to were the ones who were being themselves. Not the ones representing some stupid ideology, Because all ideologies are stupid, man. That's why it's an ideology. It's not a personality. You cannot exchange what you believe for who you are. You cannot exchange that. What you believe can become part of who you are, but it should only be a fraction of who you are, man. It shouldn't possess you. That's what it is. It's ideological possession. And I see that a lot with like socialism, man, because it masks itself, and communism. It masks itself as good intentions. I'm going off the thingy here, I had a whole different plan for this episode, to be honest. Okay. I'm going off topic. Look, we'll have another political episode at some other point. I don't like to get into politics because it gets me fired up. I don't know enough about it yet. It makes me fired up, and I don't think that's a safe move. But okay, soon I'm gonna have to get out of here. But sorry to hear that. There's some mucus in my nose. And what did I want to say? I put some notes down here. So so this episode has been going on for maybe 30, almost 40 minutes, and I haven't even picked up on the theme of this episode. What? I'm gonna save that for the next episode. It's fine. But yeah, let's just do a little update before I leave. A little update on me. Man, I am somehow keeping it together. Whereas in the past, if I just compare myself to who I was, if I had been confronted with the circumstances that I'm dealing with right now, I think I would have fallen apart. But for some reason, I'm not. And I have to investigate that, But let me share it with you. I've been hesitant to share this type of information with you, but I'm gonna just be real with you. I think you deserve that, especially if you've been watching me since the beginning, 18 episodes ago, because this is episode 18, I think. Episode 18? I don't know. Whatever this episode is gonna be. My mother, right? Okay, let me start at the beginning, actually. So I live in a military household, as you know. I've mentioned that before. And what that means is that my father is in the Air Force, okay? Which means that sometimes he'll be deployed somewhere, and that has happened. Doesn't happen anymore due to his position or his rank or whatever. But now he lives in a different place, and that's happened, right? We moved around a lot because of work, right? the condition would be that if he moves here, he'd get a promotion, which is understandable as a man to pursue a career that has incremental, positional changes. It's awesome, and it's natural for a man especially to pursue that. For some exceptional women as well, but and when I say exceptional, I just mean that they are the exception, not that they are. It's not like necessarily a compliment or whatever. It's just if you're that kind of person. But anyways, so yeah, my dad, he was, pursuing a promotion, and it resulted in him moving away again. Cool. But this time we stayed behind, okay? And we had to. We decided we can't uproot ourselves anymore, man. It's such a disruption to life. And it affects, as I've mentioned before, it affects how you deal with the world, how you make friends, how you keep friends, how you maintain relationships, and how you yeah, it's just there's a lot to it, but I'm not going to go into that. I already spoke about that before. But okay, so he first lived in Polokwane, or yeah, somewhere there in Limpopo, and then after that he moved to Luatla military base, which is in the Northern Cape. So that's where he is right now. He's been there maybe 2 years, 2.5 years, I think. Late 2023. Wait, it's 2024. Late 2022. My mother started developing an illness, okay? Which at first just resulted in constant stomach pain, right? And it just got worse and worse and worse. The whole 2023 was my mother deteriorating. She could not eat anymore. She could not keep any food down. She was losing weight like crazy. One of the last times that we went to go see, her doctor, was, he said that she had lost over 40 kilograms, in the space of 8 months. She had lost 40 kilograms. It is astonishing, how how much someone can change physically in such a short amount of time. And then they thought, okay, there's an operation they can do that will potentially solve the problem. It didn't solve the problem. It wasn't even related to the problem, unfortunately. And she just didn't recover from that, dude. She died 2 weeks, 3 weeks after that operation. And that was brutal. That was in November of 2023. So it's still pretty fresh, and you can imagine my hesitancy to talk about this. But what has happened now is that my father still lives there in Luatla. He still lives there, and it used to be my mom, my three brothers, and my sister. Three brothers, my mom, me, my two brothers, and my sister. And now that my mom has passed away, it's just the four of us. My dad is still there. He comes regularly. He really does try, but it's far. It's like 4 hours away. So most weekends he tries to be here, which is great. But it's obviously not ideal. And so the responsibilities have fallen on me and my brother, because we're the two adults, right? There's two of us that are adults. The others are kids. Like, we have a little brother and sister. They are children. And I think my difficulty to deal with circumstances, changing circumstances, challenging circumstances in the past have been not good. I always struggle to deal with such things. But for some reason, man, with all this that has happened, my mom passing away, the responsibility falling on me and my brother's shoulders, and it's a huge responsibility. I mean, I don't know how to parent. Dude, they changed maths. Like, I don't know how to I don't know how to help them with their homework. It's insane. But this responsibility has been thrust on us now by life. I'm not gonna blame my father. I'm not gonna blame the doctors. I'm not gonna blame whatever weird illness my mother had. It's irrelevant, because the reality is what it is. So it doesn't help to point fingers and name names. It doesn't help. But I've just noticed how interesting it is that I'm keeping it together somehow. I'm not freaking out. My anxiety is at an all-time low. I am more clear-headed and focused. And yeah, I don't understand why. I will investigate this later, especially in my writings. I will investigate that. But as it stands, man, I don't know. It's like, whoa, like, how are you able to survive this? How are you withstanding this, you know? But anyways, I'm not going to get too emotional about it or anything. I just find it incredible. So yeah, that's just one update regarding my life, is that I am amazed at how I'm keeping it together. Like, sure, I do things like scheduling, but I've always done scheduling because I'm a very disorganized person by nature. So I force myself to put things in a schedule. Otherwise, I let people down. I let myself down. Certain requirements of me, expectations that are made of me, are forgotten simply because I'm not organized. So taking that power into my hands and making sure that I can celebrate my own power by executing the expectations that are made of me, and reasonable expectations, of course. So fine. I guess that's one defense, is that, but Xavier, you are scheduling your life, putting your life in order and balancing it out where it's balanced between work and play. I do have lots of downtime. I do have lots of work to do, with myself, with the show. I practice the piano. I'm preparing myself for university auditions. I'm super excited. In August, I'm going to be doing it, so that's another update. I'm steady on my way to doing that. My goal with that is to impress. I've never wanted to impress anybody in my life, but this, I feel like, is an opportunity to impress, and it's just because I want to create an impression. I want to create a genuine impression of what I'm able to do, because I believe that I have potential, and I don't mean that arrogantly. I believe that, you know, musically, I have a potential that can only be realized in that type of environment, in a university environment, and I'm gonna do it. It feels like it's late. I'm gonna be 28 this year. In fact, by the time I audition, maybe I will be 28. Maybe I will still be 27. But it feels late. But you know what? I don't care, man. I have delayed this dream of mine for so long. Even the podcast dream, I've delayed it for too long, and now I'm doing it. So I'm just going to execute all my dreams, man. And if you have dreams, if you have things that you're hesitating on, I say go for it. The worst thing that can happen is that it fails, and then you're just back to where you are right now. So where's the pain? Just do it, man. Just go for it. What else? I think that's about it, man. I think I'll end the episode here. I have to. I definitely need to take my brother to his music lesson now, and if I don't leave in the next 2 minutes, we're probably gonna be late. but but yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel. I post every Friday now. I'm trying to post every Friday, and I try to make little clips. Sometimes when I have an opening in my schedule. But life has its demands. But I say, bring it on, son. Bring it on. I was almost gonna say goodbye now. I was gonna say, but or not say goodbye. I was just gonna be like, I was gonna say, okay, edit. Okay, cut that part out, and then you're done. No. I just wanna say, yeah, thank you for watching and listening. I hope you enjoyed this. Whatever this is, it's strange that someone would find this enjoyable, but if you do, I appreciate you. And please be good to yourself. Go and write, go and read, go and think. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, I think. And whatever it is that you intend on doing, whatever dream you have, man, don't let anything stop you. Life is going to end. Do you really want to get to your deathbed and be like, I didn't achieve any of my dreams? No. Don't let anything stand in your way. And I'm done letting things stand in my way of my dreams. I'm going to do this. And yeah, I think I need a cup of coffee. I'm getting cold. But yeah, anyways, be good to yourselves. And yeah, see you next week.